It's your host, Sable Danielle. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Eunoia, where we will continue our conversation with Ashley Burney. Let's tune back in.
Send you for this MRI, and he goes, and if it comes back, we'll just discuss next steps. I'm like, okay. Never in a million years I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be me that is going to have to go through what's to come. So anything over 5 millimeters is considered significant in terms of measurement. And what the condition is you're born with too much brain and not enough space, and it starts to herniate down into your neck. Okay, so it bends your cerebellum, in the brainstem there, and which is causing pressure, which is causing migraines and everything that comes with it then at that point, right? And he sent me out for MRI, and I'm thinking, I ain't gonna be touched. I'm good. I'm gonna continue taking my Excedrin. I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Came back, and it came back that I measured more than half. So, or more than double. Let me just say that, more than double. And I was crushed because he talked through what next steps would look like, and that is seeing a neurosurgeon and having brain surgery. Well, I'm still open, still trying to keep that fire, still trying to tell myself I would be okay.
Yeah.
And I saw the neurosurgeon, and he sees this every day. So he says, well, Ashley, you have to have surgery. And I said, well, what do you mean? I can't take anything. It can't be. He says, you measure more than double. He said, so we don't want you having seizures. We don't want you passing out. We don't want the stuff that is known to happen from this condition if it's not addressed. So I have to go in, I have to shave your skull, which alleviates pressure. And I said, okay. He says, so we'll see you. We're going to all these tests, blood work, all that good stuff. And we'll see you back 30 days prior to your surgery. I said, okay. And I said, well, what happens at 30 days? He goes, well, we'll just remeasure, and, that'll let us know. Well, I've had it all my life. So there's no miracles do happen. And let me tell you, I know they do. But in this situation, I had to prepare myself for what I was coming up against, which was having brain surgery at 32 years old. So fast forward, I have the first, it's called decompression. I have the surgery. I'm in ICU a week, and I am, kept at a certain degree angle, and my world was upside down, for a week as I was healing. And I go home one day, and what you look out for is any leaking. Well, I was leaking brain fluid. So it's also called CSF. So I'm leaking brain fluid out of my incision. I mean, my husband could literally wring my pillow. That's how much, as I'm asleep, it's just coming out. But what I didn't know was that your body reproduces it, but you shouldn't be leaking it, So we call the doctor, and he says, come on in, and we're going to go ahead and, stitch up the area. And I'm like, okay, whatever, take a stitch to the head, whatever. I go in, and he stitches it, and the whole office heard. Oh, I was very loud and there was no numbing. It was stitched to the head, several, right? So gave my stitch, and then he says to me, unfortunately, we have to take you back in today. So my kids and my family had the surgery. I went home. People were checking on me, and thank God I have my husband's grandmother is a retired nurse of like 48 years. So she's by my side at home, in the hospital. I mean, I was truly blessed to have to go back, for them to pretty much undo the zipper, to fix the leak that was towards the upper part of my head, which was nowhere near where my incision was, to have to stitch me back, for me to be okay. It was awful. It was awful. It was one of the most faith testing times of my entire life, because I'm all about advocating for yourself. So I'm advocating for myself to find out answers, to find out surgery, to now, it was awful. So I go back in. Hi, Ashley, you're back. I'm back. He operates, he, fixes the leak. Then, and this is now around 1 October here in Las Vegas, one of the most horrific mass shootings ever that we've ever experienced. So I had to pray because I'm all about finding out, like, what is the lesson in that for me? Like, what is the lesson in it? What's the lesson? What do I need to learn, And so he revealed to me it wasn't for me. The physical enduring of what I went through was yet for someone else. That came through being surrounded by victims who had been shot, who were fighting for their lives.
Meaning while you were at the hospital?
While I was at the hospital.
Oh my
So
God.
I was at the hospital when it happened. So because it was so many people, it was horrific. You had nurses running down the hall. You had, gurneys flying. You had alarm going off. The room was cold. I remember everything I felt during that time. So here it is. I'm now recovering from my second surgery. So I'm in ICU another week. I go home a day. There's a pattern, and I leak again. This time it's called hematoma, which is a collection of blood cells, and they either absorb or they leak wherever they can. So I have a 9-inch incision. They're going to leak out of my incision. So I go back to the hospital. I tell you, I could tell everybody's name at Valley Hospital, who I now call, those nurses are my friends. They're on my social media. They look out for me, but that surgery, I remember praying and just saying, I just hope you haven't forgotten about me. I'm laying here. My kids see me, in a state where I'm not talking, I'm heavily medicated, having to learn how to walk again, how to talk again. So all of the gifts that we could at some point in life take for granted, they were gone. So now I'm having to get them back. And I knew I could walk, but it wasn't until I tried. So that third time where I get up and I stand upright and I'm like, oh, we gonna walk this unit. We good. Like, I'm all badged up and look a hot mess, but we're good. It didn't register. I go to lift my leg and it doesn't move. And I said, this is yet another layer to this situation. But what I didn't know, fast forwarding, is that I would encounter and have conversations with people around the world with the same condition, and that he would use my story to empower. And I laid there in that hospital bed and I said to myself, I promise I will not complain. I promise I'll always look to the brighter side. I will be slow to say what's not working. I'll be slow to not count my blessings. And that's exactly where the strength behind YBIB, it's that promise that I made when I was in the hospital. It was a new layer of strength and courage that was brought to light. And so I'm just so thankful that I haven't had a migraine since the day before my first surgery.
Amazing.
I can now connect with people across the world to say, like, hey, our stories may not be the same, but let me share my journey, because I know you're processing a lot. People who are going up against decompression surgeries, and I always share and be cautious, because not everybody has the same story, and you don't want to scare, and you don't want to, but I'm very transparent, because what I want those to see is that there will be a brighter day, and it's coming. You just have to believe. And so my journey has really taught me that life is so precious, and with all that we've been through, we are still here. And we have something that could change someone else's life if we tap into it, right? So if it's sharing your story, if it's sharing my story, if it's, you know, if I didn't honor the fact that I had met you at the vendor marketplace, or didn't come by or didn't stop, what it could have prevented, the connection that could have never been made. And that's where I say everything that concerns Ashley Burney is intentional. If it does not serve me, it won't be near me. If it is something that's not in alignment with where I foresee myself going forward, then it's okay to say no and not have to explain. It's okay. And that's the joy in sitting around tables and in rooms with women and men and saying, it's okay. So many people have had to explain their entire lives that when they say no, they see it as a negative upon them, but it's not. You very well could be teaching somebody what they should be doing, which is not apologizing for saying no.
Yes.
No, and it's not cocky. It's not, it's not no because it doesn't serve me. It is no. And there may be an awkward few seconds, but no.
It's just no.
You know what I mean? Just no. Just no. Because then when you start explaining, less is more. Less is more.
Yeah.
It will set you free, and you will feel so bossed up after it. You went from explaining yourself for so many years to saying no. And the moment you feel, wow, I didn't have to explain, I didn't have to go into all the details of why it was no, but yourself is what is so important. Self-love, self-care, self-everything. And that's okay, because once you are who you are and who you're meant to be and who you pour into, you can be more to others. But if not, you can't be who you are if you're steady trying to please and make everybody else around you feel okay and then forget, hello, you forget you.
What about you?
So that's been my journey, and being able to lead a life with intention, because I know that many are watching, to include my children, my husband, my family. And it's oftentimes too with family that it could be seen, the no could be seen as, well, what the heck? But it's okay. It does not matter the title. If it does not serve you, your energy, your being, for then you to be the very best you can, it's not serving nobody.
Yeah.
That's how we have to look at it. So it's been a journey, but I wouldn't, like I said, and how I started off, I wouldn't change anything about it.
Yeah.
Nothing about it.
What a remarkable journey, and how amazing it is to be able to sit here and have a conversation with you and know you in real life, in person, after having experienced all of that, like not just one. So 3 surgeries, that's a lot. And then your experience even at the hospital, seeing, the other victims, like that's really crazy.
And that's a whole nother podcast. I think it's when it was almost like scenes from a movie, and who I met and actually being called somebody's angel. And it was through my sleep and connecting and waking up and asking for a specific person and I didn't know that they were next to me and they walked in after experiencing a 16-hour surgery to save their life. There's a whole layer to why I say that we also have to be gentle
Yeah.
with ourselves and others because we don't know what the next is going through. And I was just actually in the store the other day and it was, you know, I met a woman and she just looked sad, you know, and I pick up, I'll say, can I hug you? Or, you know, even you know, safely during this pandemic time, you know, but it was holidays are not as holly as for many because a lot has happened and either they're lonely, they're by, you know, there's so much that has happened that when it's a time of celebration and family and, you know, fellowship, it's really not that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I often, you know, sow more seeds around the holidays, you know, if that's taking care of somebody's gas or paying for the next meal, or if you have it, count it a joy because that next person could be on their last and you're not.
Yeah.
So I know I could easily spend another $10 at the next drive-through I'm gonna hit. Why not just cover a meal or, you know, bless another family or, you know, but the giving spirit, it has been one that has been embedded in me from my childhood, which is why I feel like if I'm not giving, if I'm not giving of self, then I'm not living the life that God called me to be and do. And so that keeps that drive. So
Yeah. You just made me think about something. My dad, he had a business downtown Chicago when I was growing up, and I used to always go with him. And every time I was with him, he'd always, you know, give $1 to the homeless person on the corner or whatever. And they would like know my dad by name. Hey, Mike, what's up, Mike? Like, whatever. And so, like, finally one day I'm like, yeah, why do all these people know you? And he's like, you know, everybody has hard times. Like, you know, a lot of people look over these folks or whatnot. And he just gave me a spiel, but it always stuck with me. And so I always want to make sure that I help unfortunate people too and look out for the people that society tends to look down upon because
yes.
those people need love too.
And you know what? It comes full circle.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not, we may forget that like 2 years ago we covered or, you know, we covered somebody's meal or, you know, got somebody's groceries.
Yeah.
There could be somebody in front of you who has 5 or 6 things and you're looking. And if you have it, if you feel led,
Yeah.
listen, because it will never lead you astray.
And
You
it
will
could
always
really,
feel it and you always know. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's just, but as a grown woman, you can recount what those experiences were
Mm-hmm.
and how it affected you in
Mm-hmm.
such a positive, inquisitive way of why do they know you and what it was teaching you, just the seeds that were sown along the way that
Yeah.
that really have as adults helped us out. And I'm like, thank you, Mom, because I would have been, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
girl, thank you for teaching me that young, because if I didn't learn that then, man, I could have been led astray. So
Yeah. Definitely.
I feel you. I feel you.
You touched upon a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about before we start to wrap up in a little bit. But you mentioned being able to accept where you were in your journey. And I think that acceptance is one of the hardest things in life, especially when it comes to like a situation that doesn't positively affect your life.
Yeah.
So how hard was it for you to accept that, or, you know, how powerful was it for you to accept that?
You know, once I accepted the things that I could not change, and they were outside of my control, because that was the biggest thing that I learned during my surgery journey,
Yeah.
is that I'm one who has lives by a calendar. If it's on the calendar, it don't happen. Like I'm very organized.
Yeah.
And it has helped me also keep or have tabs on what happens and what doesn't, right? So when I couldn't control anything about that process, that was the biggest acceptance pill I think I've ever had to swallow, because I knew that on one hand, the doctor was saying, this is what you got to do. If you don't do it, you will start to become someone that you will hate.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole list of symptoms, right? And everybody's different. When you talk about seizures and blacking out and my walk and my talk changing, what? Girl, I like to be in heels. I like to be doing my thing. That's gonna start to happen. The pill was, Ashley, you better have that surgery.
Yeah.
You better have that surgery. And it was, you know, a test of my faith to have the surgery, right? But then to have complications, to go through it yet another time, and then still have complications to go through it another time, for it then to be revealed to me that it was almost like I heard God saying, I needed you. I needed you. This had your name on it. And when you accept those things that you cannot change, but you use that for the better of, there you go again, growing through things.
Yeah.
It took someone in me that I hadn't even known yet in terms of strength, something in me. The strength had to be revealed to say, you actually have the strength to accept it. That's the nugget here, is the fact that oftentimes we go through things and we don't want to accept it because we can't control it.
Right.
And we don't know what it's going to bring us. But then once we accept the fact that, think about relationships, when you say, or when you're in a relationship and it just doesn't serve you anymore. You're growing apart, you're hating who they're becoming, it's just not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
The acceptance is, it's okay to then start to heal and separate yourself from what you know is not serving you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so acceptance is something that I feel as if it's embraced and not fought against, we will see what we need to see. And it's typically for the better, in my opinion, because I feel like once we accept something, it's almost in alignment with what serves us.
Yep.
Right? And if it doesn't serve my mental and my spiritual and my emotional, it's not for me. It's not for me. And it comes through those relationships, those friendships, career moves. If it's time to close the door, boo-boo, let it slam.
Stop trying to hold it open. That wind is pushing it, isn't it?
Girl, you using 2 hands now. With your feet sliding. I wish I could get up and kind of reenact this. Your hands are out and your feet are sliding because you're trying to hold something open that it is trying to close. That chapter is done. You had me for as long as you had me. Yeah. But you don't serve me. So I need to accept the fact that you don't serve me and move on. But that's you know what I mean? That's that. I think that comes with maturity too, because many don't want to accept and they want to keep fighting. And it's just, no, you get to a point where you know what it is and you love on her enough. Yeah. And it won't let you settle. So it's going to be this internal fight with you and her. Okay. And when I say her, that's you too. Yes. And it's like, didn't I tell you 2 years ago? 3 years ago, I showed you, but I for me, and my spiritual connection is, that's where I just have to just thank God that the other part didn't have its way,
Yes.
because I was given chance after chance after chance after chance, and I'm here. I could have been even stubborn to say I ain't having no surgery. And who am I taking away from? I'm taking away from myself. I'm taking away from my kids. So it's just, so acceptance is one of those nuggets that I feel is evolving,
Yeah.
but it's met with maturity to allow it to be easier
Yeah.
to own.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's really key too, because I feel like with accepting things, it allows you to recognize that, like, maybe it's time to grow. Right?
yes,
And
yes,
maybe there's things that I can do better. And sometimes if you don't accept things, it can kind of turn you bitter, right? Like
yes,
you kind of have a choice to either accept it or don't. And with that, usually you're not that happy of a person because you're just stuck
exactly.
in, why did
And
this
then when you're
happen
not
to me?
happy, everything is seen as woe is me. It's like Eeyore. Girl,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've had some friends with some Eeyore types of spirits.
Yes.
And it's like, womp, womp, womp. Girl, if you don't run, run
Yes.
that way, because it's just, we take on enough to trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, like my friends, I mean, like, I really, like, I have a circle that's, um, I just thank God for every day, because even if it's just praying for me when I don't know they are,
Yeah.
but I know that they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a sisterhood. But yeah, acceptance is something.
Yeah.
Is something else.
Okay, so you talked about something else that was important, and that was advocating for your own health. And so, you see it a lot on social media or on blogs or whatnot, but like actually having experienced it, like you
Yeah,
had to advocate for yourself and tell your doctor, I really don't think it's sleep. I know how much sleep I
right.
get. No, I don't want to be on this. So can you
This face.
maybe share that part of your journey a little bit, or just um, tell the audience why it's so important to listen to yourself and fight for yourself and not necessarily agree with the doctor all the time?
And I'm so glad you touched on that, because I feel like with advocating for yourself and how important it is, and me looking back and replaying in my mind what could have happened, was I could replay it. I would
Yeah.
have been put on medication. I would have not been myself. All the side effects that came from it, I mean, it was anxiety to just, I mean, fast heart rate to feeling it just masking, right? Masking what I was feeling. I would have been like a walking zombie. I don't think anything would have been normal, which would have affected it would have affected my marriage. It would have affected my children, my family, um, and seeing how far I came to then. And it wasn't in the crazy part, which I didn't even share about, after I had the surgeries and stuff, and I had seen who I needed to see. The primary care doctor, who, the sleeping medication guy,
Yeah.
he calls me like 3 or 4 months after my surgery. Okay. And he says, I talked to a good friend of mine over at, some hospital in California. And, he actually recommends that, you go ahead and just kind of see a specialist for your condition.
Oh, thanks. A little too
This
late.
face again. Okay. I said, this will be the last time that we speak. I am recovering from double brain surgery. And if I would have stopped and believed you, I don't think I would be here today.
Good for you.
Well, I'm so sorry. Please don't apologize. You meant what you said when I was in front of you. Everything you did, prescribed it. You did everything you knew to do,
Yeah.
but I knew what to do for me, and that was to push. And if I could say anything or leave any nuggets from advocating, it would be, it's okay to write down your questions. I don't care if they have 25, 35 more clients after you. We all wait for our turn to go into our doctor. We're in there a few minutes,
Yeah.
and then we leave and we're like, oh, well, if I call back or I do this, am I going to be booked for another appointment? My insurance is going to be ran again, another copay. We start to see all that or feel it, or those questions run through our mind. What if it's just actually taking the time to be in tune to what we feel and writing it down? I knew I was feeling the migraines. I knew that I had tingling in my hands and my feet. I knew that my legs would go numb. I knew that I had slurred speech at times. I knew that I could, if I looked into a light for too long and I had a migraine already, I knew that I would literally see spots in my vision for the next 24 hours. I knew all of these things, but you get so rushed, and when you get in and you think you're covering it, but then also what I've loved is I now start to, any appointments that I feel like I like follow appointments or anything like that, I take somebody with me, because they're going to pick up and they're going to hear things that you won't.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be focused on XYZ. They're at A and they're carrying you through, and they'll say, oh, well, you know what? You did actually want to know about this, or what should you do in this? So advocating is so important, because we are our biggest advocate. No one will ever advocate for us the way we advocate for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if that comes through questions, you get clarity, you know what to do, you know what not to do. But in seeking second and third opinions are normal.
Yeah.
Thank God I literally had to go through that one doctor through, to get the understanding that I needed to go on to see a specialist. But if I didn't push, it wouldn't have come, which
Yeah.
I don't think I would be here today, which is the scary part in it all. It's like, oh man, I knew. So advocating is so big, because the one you love the most is the one that you're doing a biggest disservice to.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're allowing you to slip
Yeah.
in the hands of somebody else. And we always think doctors know everything. Oh my goodness gracious. They are human.
Yeah.
They went to school, they got education and knowledge, and they prepared themselves to be in a even more understanding position than we are. But it's still okay to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure you feel 100, as my kids say, keep 100, mom, as you feel 100 when you're leaving.
Yeah.
Special appointments to make sure that you're okay. So
Especially
that's what I learned.
since they're not in your body. They have all the expertise, but they don't necessarily know the ins and outs of you and what you've been going through. So
Exactly.
every case is different, even if it's the same disease or sickness or whatever you want to call it. But, everyone responds differently. Like you said, there are so many different symptoms.
Exactly. And it's so important, because the only one feeling confused and delusional are you.
Yeah.
The doctor's going on to their next client or their next patient, right? They're not, no. And then, good luck with calling, leaving messages, and getting a nurse who I mean, we all know, but it take that time to invest it back into you, because you very well could be saving your own life
Yeah.
and seeking the help. That's like with counseling and therapy. No, we need to talk about how normal it should be.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate and so sad when you think about how normalizing mental health and getting help, what that painted picture is. If you go get help, you're all the many labels that you have.
Yeah.
But when you get help and you get another ear, and it's helpful for you and your soul, what it leaves you feeling,
Yeah.
is amazing. And I think that we should normalize that also within minority women, because it is seen as a weakness. It is seen as, oh, like you have to carry this burden on your own. No, no. Go seek your help, boo, because that's the self-love. That's the self-care. Taking care of you as an entire package, not when it's convenient for you. It's times where we got to push up against where it's inconvenient to say, I need to adjust this. And I need to know that it's normal when it's seen as in society as, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And it never will be. You know what I mean? So it's just it's this journey called life. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, I appreciate you being so open and vulnerable and being part of the show today. I think you had
Yes, it is my pleasure. And I've had a blast. And I can't wait for the things that are on the horizon for your business,
thank you.
and staying connected and being true to you, and knowing that this is something that what you're doing, many people need it. I love podcasts on my drives, even on a quick run to the grocery. I'm refilling, and it's through the messages that you have from those who you connect with and have on your podcast that someone else can be given the seed that they need to water.
Yeah.
It's not just giving it. It's once you receive it, then apply it and water it and just watch it grow. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
You're welcome. I love that you said that about the seed and watering it, because I always said, I wanted this to be a safe space for people. And I recognize everyone's not always on their at the point in their journey where they're ready to like face themselves. But if I can drop a seed, and 5 years from now, a month from now, whatever, however long it takes for it to be like ding ding ding, I'm spreading.
Right. I felt like a boss when I said this, and when I felt this, and I said no. You know what I mean? Where did I hear it from? Or, previous talks, and it's replaying. And that's why I just love how podcasts are actually becoming a big thing, because it could be even audiobooks to, old school, instead of, sitting with a book in it could be on your commute. It's feeding your soul, it's aligning purpose, and it's tapping into realms and being open, to receiving a new nugget that could carry you for so long. And it's that moment that they realize, oh, it was on Sable's podcast. That's right. That it just comes full circle. So it's going to flourish in ways that I don't think you've ever imagined. So just stay the course. It'll happen.
Thank you. And I'm going to remember you said that when, it really truly starts flourishing.
Girl, because I'm telling you, 2022, this is a whole nother talk, but 2022, when you talk about affirmations, a few months ago, I was already thinking about 2022 and the things I wanted to do. And my mind, I started to get real baffled and real, like, it felt like it was all here. And I said, girl, if you don't go order that journal and that new calendar that says 2022 on it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want no calendar that's 2021 and it has 2 months of 2022 in it. I want a full 2022 calendar.
Yes.
So the moment I got this calendar, and I always get journals or calendars that have messages, because I want it to talk to me. I want it to talk to me before I even open it, to talk to it. Okay.
Yes.
So like with this one, and I try not to get a lot, but I like to get one that fits in my purse. I like to get one that stays on my nightstand or close to, because vision is given to me when I'm asleep and I wake up and then I write it.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where it was so much here, it was almost paralyzing to write it. And I'll tell more of that story later. But it was almost paralyzing to write it. So when I started to release and to write, I have so much lined up that I had to be reminded some of those things I prayed for exactly 4 years ago.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, even most recent event, which we sold out and was just amazing.
I know.
It came down to the venue of that particular event. I toured it 4 years ago.
Wow.
And I was reminded it wasn't that you weren't ready, is Ashley, I had to prepare you.
Mm.
So leaving with the nugget is that let's not be so heavy and hard on ourselves when we don't see things in our time,
Yes.
but more so never letting us go, because there's so much in store. And when we realize it's not about us,
Yeah.
we naturally bring on this light that is, it exudes our being. And so many are able to take advantage of it. So when I got that journal, and it has some cute tabs too. I gotta show you. So it has literally from, I mean, just the amount of effort that went into it. It wasn't just a white and black journal. I have some tabs. It gives me the full month. It breaks it down by days and notes, and because if you know how you think, sometimes I don't need to see the full month. I just need to write it on the day that I want it to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we have too much, no, but I like options, and I'm excited. We're gonna have some YBIB, Your Bold is Beautiful products come out. That's intentional living product that it can serve for that purpose, because I like to share what I like, and it is really really blessed those that have come in contact with the platform and what we're doing. So there's some exciting things that are getting ready to happen.
I'm excited. And so I feel like we could be on here for like hours and just keep
I
talking.
know.
Like we didn't even get to really talk about Your Bold is Beautiful or like more of that type of stuff. And so I think I would
Yes.
love to have you back so we could have another conversation.
Yes,
about
I
that.
would. Let me know. Let me know. I'll make it happen, and then we can really talk about the impact and
Yeah.
the journey that YBIB, in short for Your Bold is Beautiful, that we've been on, because it's a journey that, and you've heard me say earlier, I wouldn't change anything about it, but it is really blossoming into this. I knew it was going to come up again.
Okay.
It's blossoming into such this beautiful piece
Yes.
that is so much bigger than me, So it is a lot of late nights, early mornings, text to myself, okay? A lot of that, because if a goal not written down, and anybody who knows me know that I've said this a million times, a goal not written down is a goal not achieved.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can't write it, girl, I'll be mid-conversation. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. I need to text myself real quick.
Give me 1 second. I need to text myself real quick, But it just, it's just the journey that we're on and the events that we're going to be doing in 2022. So all of the information, typically all updates and all of that good stuff, is at hearttoheartspeaks.com. So there's the website there, and I highly encourage those to subscribe, because it's all the updates, and I'll send an update just to be checking on folk, okay? Because I really want to make sure that we are living to our fullest potential.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we could slip because of the day-to-day and what we're feeling and growing through, but never lose sight of the queen that we are, because we are queens. We are nothing short of it. Nothing. So if it don't meet that demand, it can't. You bye.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia. You know what I mean? So yes, but I really appreciate you having me on, and I can't wait for lives to be touched and connections to be made and dreams to be fulfilled, all of that good stuff. So thank you.
You are very welcome. Would you like to tell people where to find you on Instagram, how they can follow you?
Yes, so the Instagram is Heart to Heart LLC, and there's also Your Bold is Beautiful with an underscore in between each word. We can be found on Instagram, we can be found on Twitter, and on Facebook, and of course our website. So our website, if you didn't remember anything I just said, if you head to our website, all of our social platforms are listed there, and I personally can't wait to meet those who we've connected through Sable's podcast, because I think that's just phenomenal. But I'm all about connections. So it's really, that's how we can tap into each other. But definitely visit hearttoheartspeaks.com, and we'll be connected soon.
Yay. So thank you, Wolfpack, for joining us this week. Stay tuned. We will definitely have Ashley back so we could get into more detail about the Your Bold is Beautiful event and some things that come in 2020. 2020. Wow, I'm a couple of years behind.
Look, we're going through a pandemic, so don't worry.
Oh my goodness. Okay, 2022. So yes, stay tuned and thank you. We'll be back next week.
Thank you. Bye, guys.